to Andres. He's he's the founder of Startup Safari, and he's going to explain today's what's happening this whole week and about what is Startup Safari. Andres?
Yeah, sure.
5 years, I don't mind saying that. I started in engineering, I think when engineering started. But anyway, it's an honor and pleasure to be a part of the Women in Tech. There weren't any women when I got started, so this is great. And I'm going to hand this off to Erica.
Hi everybody, I'm Erica Gemma. I know a lot of faces in the crowd. Thank you. I know a lot of faces in the crowd because I just love Miami. The Miami ecosystem is great. Recently, we opened up a Bitcoin Center in Miami. So if you've ever seen a documentary, Banking on Bitcoin, it's the only documentary on Netflix about Bitcoin. You'll learn about the Bitcoin Center in New York, which we opened up a branch here in Miami. And what we actually opened up was a blockchain center to be really agnostic to all the different technologies. So blockchaincenter.com if you're interested in learning more. But I am CEO there. I head up that location and really just trying to bring technology to Miami, make this a smart city. We have such an opportunity for that. And then B, really raise awareness about this, Web3 that everybody's talking about.
Hi. All right. Okay. Okay. Hi. My name is Rita Mittal, and I've been in the tech world over here in Miami for the last 5 years. I came here I joined actually Miami Startup Grind as a co-chapter director, and over 3 years we got a lot of followers, and I got to know, I think, a lot of people in the ecosystem all the way from Fort Lauderdale down to Miami. And one of the things I found was that we always have a fireside chat with the very successful CEOs and funders and things like that. But a lot of times the middle people are left, or the young students, or people who have moved in from another city to come into Florida, in the South Florida especially, and they don't find jobs, so they don't have connections, they don't know where to go. So Startup Grind, I found that people came to network, and they left smiling, but probably with a pain in the heart that they didn't find someone, or they didn't find the job they were looking for. And I see a lot of my friends actually struggling. So I started this with my co-founders here, with Ramirez and Angel, he's not here right now. It's called CTO Founders. And as CTO Founders, we're trying to connect the dots between people who are CEOs and CTOs to find each other in our sessions, which is a monthly thing. And we get a star speaker, and we also get people who are hiring, and at the same time we get people who are looking for jobs. Thank you.
Well, please, let's send a round of applause to our amazing women in tech, coming from all over the United States and all over the world, representing here the local talent. So my name is Jorge Cortez, I'm one of the organizers, and I'm sitting here on this Women in Tech panel because we had another moderator, Michelle McCoy, who I also, even though she's not here, I want to recognize her work as Women in Technology, putting together the Miami VR Expo. The VR and XR community is also is also growing very healthy. So I want to just recognize her, even though she couldn't be here with us. And so I wanted to start saying that a few years ago I created this panel talk called Social Entrepreneurship on High Heels, and it was terrible. It was only about 5 or 8 people sitting in front of us. And it grew up. I put it out there because it's one of my first references, and I had a little criticism that it was a little sexist or something like that. But I'm glad today actually find the right key, which is women in tech. How is the role of women in the entrepreneurial communities like Miami? Right here. So I just want to thank you guys for being here tonight, and we're not gonna jump right at it. Kimberly just got here from North Carolina, so just tell us how you actually did connect with the local tech ecosystem in Miami, and tell us a little bit more what you're doing with IBM TV.
Oh, so I have 2 lives, okay, Clark Kent here. So part of me, I have an invention actually. The patent was approved this year. I started it back in 2012. And it's tracking devices with artificial intelligence to help law enforcement monitor certain things that are going on. So that's one of the things that I'm out there innovating technology. I'm an engineer for 35 years. Helped develop some of the first telephone systems that were used. Back in the day, I was the only female engineer back then. So things have changed a lot, and I'm glad to see that. But as innovation kept evolving, I kept thinking I would get out of it, and instead I stayed in more, got to learn more and do more. So we're launching some of that great technology in Raleigh, North Carolina, but we're taking it everywhere global. One of the ways I found out about you guys was through you, Jorge. I met you when I was speaking with Google, right? Over a year ago here. And and again, trying to inspire people and get the ecosystem going. Andreas couldn't have said it any better. The startup community is what develops our ecosystem and our communities. We're the ones, the startups are the ones who get out there and innovate new ideas that are healthy for your own community. The big corporations do a lot, but it's you who are doing what is good and healthy for your own community because you saw a problem and you're solving it, right? It's not always about a tech game or something like that. So there's a lot of technology evolving nowadays with health tech, fintech, education tech. I'm here with Elliot for education tech. I got into TV because I met the executive producer at a hackathon, a PBS hackathon. I was just an engineer and hey, what's PBS doing in hacking? So I went and we met, and the next thing I know, I'm on TV interviewing people, and now we own our own network. But we had evolved into tech TV. We wanted to do more shows about technology, about what you're doing. Why? Because the only way you're going to become more successful is if you get more exposure. And not exposure just in your community, but globally, because everything that we do today becomes global. But there are people out there who can help you, or you need distribution for something, and you're not finding it what you need in your community. There are a lot of doors to knock on. So my executive producer and I got together and we said, hey, let's do something for Tech TV, but for startups. And so that's what we're doing. And we're starting this program with Startup Safari to help people get interviewed on TV and get your product recognized globally.
Thank you for choosing Miami to start.
I love Miami. It's great. When I met you, it's like a family here. I thought it was nice in North Carolina, but when I come down here, this gentleman here, complete gentleman, I got very, very sick when I was here, and he stood beside me the whole time and made sure everything was taken care of. So he's been like my brother ever since. I want to move to Miami after that experience.
Thank you for coming.
I got very, very sick. But no, he was there. But it showed me the heart that this community has. And you know what? There's a lot of, I hate saying this, there's a lot of venture capital here, a lot of money. And here's the sad part, and I hate to take this over, but 80% of the startups that are invested in fail. And there's some reasons why they fail, and hopefully we help share that with you to help prevent you from failing. But one of the biggest reasons and ways that we're going to turn you around is to help you get exposure, the exposure you need. Okay? And the other is just make sure that when you go out and get the money that you need, because who needs money? Who needs money? Oh, come on. Everybody needs money, right? You two guys didn't raise your hand. So it's not all just about money, okay? Sometimes it's about finding the right partner, the business partner, okay, or the right distribution, or the right location. Maybe you're in the wrong location. But I'm going to stop there because there's some other great things to talk about in Women in Tech, right?
So thank you so much for passing over Erica and all the amazing thing that she's doing. I had the chance to work at the Blockchain Center that Erica founded about 3 or 4 months already, and we had to change the story a little bit because they came to me and say, Jorge, we have a center, we have this amazing space, these amazing groups coming with their events, and everybody connecting about blockchain, learning about Bitcoin, about cryptocurrencies, smart contracts, and all these associations, and we need to fill up the space. And it kind of like taught me that they had something extremely special, which was community. They started the Crypto Monday event about 2 years ago, growing a community from 60 to 70 to 80 to 90 to 100 people coming every 2 weeks to meet about the different topics of cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies. And I think this is amazing to see how somebody who is perhaps didn't grow up here is doing it with all her heart, is a woman leading an organization like the Blockchain Center in the heart of downtown, having hundreds, dozens of people every day coming to her. I don't know how she does it, but I want to first of all thank you for being here with us, Erica. Round of applause. She just came from New York, so she's understanding a lot of what's going on in other tech ecosystems and different topics of how startups are getting funding, are getting perhaps more connected to incubators, to accelerators, visiting celebrities all over the United States on these big giant conferences. So thank you, Erica. And could you share a little bit of what's going on right now? You just came from New York.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit of how those travels all around the world are happening for us?
Sure. What's really interesting about the Blockchain Center and about blockchain technology in general is it started from Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin was kind of this financial movement to have a better system of money. And when you think about it, money over time has continually just evolved. And when we think about Bitcoin, it's the next step in this evolution of money. Now, Bitcoin was born, and from that, they posted it as open source technology, which I'm sure everyone in this room knows what open source is. Can I trade the microphone? Sure. Okay, better, guys? Okay, cool. So they posted it as open source technology. Software developers from all around the world, they saw this amazing code, this great innovation, and they took it, they renamed it blockchain technology, and they modified it for their own business use case. So what this has done is it's allowed for so many different industries to be disrupted by blockchain. And it's not like, it's a pretty big innovation, but also it's a very simple innovation from different databases that we've had in the past. So for us here in Miami, the reason why, so I'm from Seattle, grew up there, moved here for school. There we go. I was working in traditional finance. I've always liked airplanes. I was working in aviation, and I had been struck by this Bitcoin bug, learned a lot about it, and then I started hosting, like Jorge said, Crypto Mondays in Miami in my free time about 2 years ago, right? And so beforehand, I would used to scramble around to try to find buildings to host my event at, and now as time has progressed, and I left the corporate world of aviation, and now I work only in blockchain, in technology. We now have our own building, and it's really great. We have an amazing community. We had an event just Monday, and I think we had 90 people show up, did some giveaways, really, really amazing to now have a place for us. But then not only that, but the reason why I think Miami has such a staple is because, for example, when we opened the doors for the Blockchain Center, right? Mayor Francis Suarez came out and did a ribbon cutting ceremony for us. My sponsors were the Miami the Downtown Development Authority, the Miami Beacon Council, the Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce, the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce. These are all people that see that, hey, there is innovation that's going to happen, and let's get ahead of it. Because Miami is very, very uniquely positioned as the door of Latin America. We are already the Silicon Valley of Latin America. And when you look at the disruption, studies are done about which place will be disrupted first with this technology, it's South and Central America, right? Just because of the way that things are positioned in those places. And so Miami has such an opportunity. because every city in the world right now is vying to become the next tech hub, right? Just like Jorge said, I was just in New York. Any company that wants to do anything with Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies in New York moves to New Jersey, okay? They can't do it in New York because of this thing called the Bit License. This is also why the Bitcoin Center in New York had to open up in Miami. Now, not only that, but if you look at the different laws that are being put in place in California, in San Francisco, I can't tell you how many people come to the center and they're like, okay, I'm in San Francisco and I want to break into the Latin American market. And I'm like, what are you doing in San Francisco then? Move here. We've convinced companies to move here, also international companies that have huge budgets. Now, because of crypto, they're able to break into the United States, and we're definitely just trying to get them some exposure. So really, I mean, we're in a great place for technology. Also, no state income tax. Like, I don't need to show Miami to you guys. I feel like you understand. But we are really trying to push that forward along with everyone else.
Wow.
You guys are so nice, thank you.
And I also understand that the biggest Bitcoin conference happens in Miami.
Yeah, so the longest running Bitcoin conference, it started in 2013, just so happened to start in Miami, right down the street, like walking distance from the Blockchain Center. So Miami has a lot of history when it comes to Bitcoin. I mean, Ethereum, you know what Ethereum is, launched in Miami.
Okay, well that's a lot to process,
Sorry.
right? But I love this order because Rita is somebody who is local and has been more involved for so many more years in the startup ecosystem, creating different groups. And I want to, especially on this session, or of course if you want to stand a little bit more and talk about more topics, I want to feature her latest topic, CTO Founder, which was it's an extraordinary group. They have only done 2 meetups so far with over 70 people. It's amazing. Why? Because they find out a problem in the community and went to that and tapped into it, into the solution. The problem was, I want to leave it to you. And thank you, Rita, for being here with us as well.
You're very welcome, actually. Thank you. Well, I don't want to go over exactly how awesome Miami is. All of us are living here, and like them, I've moved from Bombay, where I grew up, but I used to travel around the world, and I've seen how the world changed over time. And then I lived in New York for a very long time. I'm also a graduate. I mean, I have my MBA in different places. I used FIU for my visa since I was a foreign student, and so I think I know the ecosystem from the student point of view as well. And I look at it from my daughter's point of view. And one of the things that I learned in Manhattan was that education is number one. I learned that in Bombay as well. If you need to climb up the social strata, and if you need to make money, you need to be skilled. And getting into colleges is not how you get your skills. You get a degree. And no one but I know, because I've been in Bombay in the Ivy League, I've been in the other stuff, and that gets your doors open, but you really need to learn through internship and being in the job. And I find that a lot of people have dreams, but they don't have foundation. And I found that out being a startup grind and having these fireside chats for 5 years and 12 months, having 12 different people to talk to, and panel discussions I've had with other people. Then I have another company called InMark, and for the last 3 years I'm building that up, which is called In is for intensive, Mark in Indian language means path. So if you follow your path, or whatever path you have a passion in, it is education beyond your college. It is education and experience beyond your school. So if you have a passion for medicine, or you want to be in, Bitcoins or whatever, or a global entrepreneurship, I have the portal for people to go from here to India and to other parts and growing up, growing those connections, where people go to all my successful friends who are in MBA classes with me, or they worked with me in advertising, marketing, in Procter & Gamble, Philips, Viacom, HBO, PBS. I've done it all in New York, and my husband's a doctor, my brother's a doctor, my dad's a doctor, and my daughter's going to be a doctor. So I know the whole healthcare thing. And I find a lot of the doctors with excellent ideas, and they're very smart, they have the money, but they really don't know how to get into the startup business. And they really get taken because they're outsourcing, they're trying to get to the wrong people, and I'm actually in that market to help them up, to grow and get people, the right CTOs, the stack developers, whoever they want, and the finance and stuff. So like you said, CTO founders, yes, it's become so successful that we also have something called open mic, where people come and actually pitch to each other and they talk about, I've been doing this and this is my pain point, I was a CTO and I earned this much money, but I was so promised this but I didn't get this and stuff like that. So we are giving them all kinds of advice as to how to get your startup going from a legal point of view, from a marketing point of view, a developer's point of view, real estate, if you know where to go, how do you negotiate things, and that is very important because people, they come, I think, a lot of times into networks and they pretend they know, but because they don't like to ask those embarrassing questions, that very basic questions. And so I think CTO Founders is there for the basic questions and for a dialogue.
How is that dynamic between the business background, people who have great ideas, and finding their own CTO? How is that process going? Why this group got so much momentum with the actual topic of CTOs finding the business partners?
Yeah, I think when people say that people are not actually hiring in Miami, and a lot of people I hear this thing about people don't show up for work, they don't keep their promises. A lot of them are fakes. Yeah, there are a lot of fakes, and there are a lot of speakers. Sometimes we try to get even for Startup Grind, and then we would get from someone else telling us that that guy was really a total fake. They didn't have any background, and they were running these boot camps and things like that. And I know that. And the other thing you were talking about, okay, like the boot camps, right? I think Christian Seal, I don't know if you're here, but my husband was a mentor in one of his health tech thing, and we realized a lot of time hackathons happen without really understanding the real medical problem and the solution to it. So you really need doctors who are dedicated and understand, are in the field doing the job. So my way of contributing to the startup community is really finding the right knowledgeable people who actually understand where the pain points are and they really know the solution. A lot of times I know people like to be in panels or they like to be in mentorship and things like that because it gives them something to do. I'm sorry to say that, but there are people like that, and you need to get the right people. You have to choose the right people. Find out, when you meet someone, ask them what have they done in the past. I mean, just don't believe everything they tell you. So that is one of my big advice. And if you don't know something about your field, go and get it. And if your company is not taking off after 2, 3, 4 years, there must be something wrong with your idea. I see people getting destroyed. They're losing their bank balance and their marriages are going on the rocks. So my thing is really try to find the right people. CTO Founders is there very much as part of that. And Inmar, which is another thing where I actually get the students into programs and internship and things like that. I connect the people to the right people so they get the right advice and they understand before they launch their startups or in the middle of their startups.
Thank you, Rita. I want to jump into talk about your experience with funding. As women for many years, as engineers, entrepreneurs, and community leaders as well. How is that dynamic before? How was that before? And what's happening now? How do you feel investors are feeling women entrepreneurs leading great, amazing ideas, leading great teams? How's that dynamic going on? What's happening out there?
Oh, wow. So, part of my history, after I branched out from being an engineer, I went to own my own telephone company. And I started it from scratch. Just rubbing two nickels together was my background that got me the PUC license and everything we needed. And to me, it was just an easy way to go. But then one day we wanted to do something new, so we went out and raised capital. And it was so to me, it was just so easy back then. It's a couple years ago. And I walked in the door, and in 7 minutes, I had $134 million for a project. In 7 minutes. But I had a good business plan, right? And I had done all the due diligence before I went in and did my 7 minutes. So this was before the pitch deck scene and everything. So that went its way, and things happened. And then I went into retirement, and I came up with this invention. And I wanted to raise money, and I thought it was going to be that easy, right? A couple of years had passed, and I come out of my shell and say, okay, I'm going to go raise $134 million. It's not that easy today. Everybody wanted a pitch deck. I had to go figure out what's a pitch deck. I got a business plan, 40 pages of this is what's going to happen, how to run the company, this is the financials you need. I know how to run it. No, you have to have a pitch deck. You have to have a spin-off. You have to, all the marketing. And I'm like, okay, I know what market I'm putting it in, but I need money to operate with. I need money to build a product with. Today, to me, the investors want you to go out and market. They also want you to take a lot less money and do the same thing, or even less. They want you to cut corners. As an engineer, I don't like to cut corners because I know things are going to fail. So things have really changed in my mind, probably not for the better. And you couldn't have said anything better than finding the right people. In my book, I talk about finding the right money. I've been known to walk away from money. If it's not the right people, you don't want to take money from them. They'll end up taking your company. Like you said, there are a lot of fraud people out there. I have read contracts. I'm a really good contract reader. And I have read contracts that if I had signed them in 6 to 8 months after I put all my money into this, they would basically own the company. But if you put together your business plan and you know in your heart this is what it's going to take and what it's going to do, don't take less for it. If an investor comes up to you and he's the right investor, he's not going to come up to you and say, I like this idea, but I'm going to give you less and I want you to do more with it. That's not a good investor. I don't care who it is. Walk away, run away, go find somebody else. Because if he said it was a good idea, odds are it is, and somebody else who's right for you is going to take it. But all too often I see that that's how startups fail, is they're not getting enough money to make it. I want to tell you right now, $150,000 is not enough money to make it a company go anywhere. And so when somebody comes up to me and says, I've got this tracking device and all I need is $150,000, I don't even want to hear you. And I've talked to manufacturers and they do the same thing. I know really big manufacturers in the United States. And if you go in and sit down and talk to them and say, all I need is $200,000, they're going to laugh you out of the office. It costs $650,000 just to do the right engineering design for the product we wanted. And do you know who Fitbit is? Right? Everyone knows who Fitbit is. Yeah, they went out and kind of raised money. They had to keep raising money and keep raising money. That shouldn't be the way it is. You need to operate a company. When I came out of retirement to do this project, someone said, well, you better be used to being out raising money. But to me, that's not running a company, and it's not putting it into success. So somebody needs to rewrite the book as far as I'm concerned. Sorry, I get on my soapbox there. But I think it's difficult for startups today. You can't get your startup going. I know this one woman, she kept taking money and using that money to raise money. And did you guys know that's illegal? If the Secretary of State in North Carolina catches you doing that, you might get in a little bit of trouble. A lot of people didn't know that was illegal.
So are you saying that a lot of people is working towards raising capital but no revenue models or sales?
No, they're just out and they got a beautiful pitch deck, a video, and all the marketing to raise money, but not all the product built. And I think that's sad. You should be taking as much money as you can get and building the product. Now, recently, because we started the new TV show for startups, and it's slowly getting some build up, but we've been meeting some venture capitalists that are in certain niche worlds. But I'm looking at the right ones. points for the startups that we want to bring to our TV show. I don't want just any venture capital or angel group that's going to come in and ask people to take less and do more. You're just never going to make it. I watched this one lady, that's all she did was raise money. She raised $500,000 over a course of time and never built a product because she never had enough to actually build the product. She'd get a little bit, a little bit. So look for the right money. But again, even if you've got something that's great in your local area, and Miami is just full of a lot of wealth, meeting the right people can be very difficult. Knocking on 100 doors, 200 doors to meet that right person can be strenuous on you and on your pocketbook. So kind of do your homework. In my mind, get your financials straightened out first, right? Not your pitch, but right now, all of the venture capitalists want a beautiful pitch deck. And I just think what do you think?
No, I think that investors need to listen more
Exactly.
to super empowered teams led by women. That is happening here, and this is where I want to enter to the next question to Erica, because she's been meeting with all kinds of investors, and she's, women leading this amazing vision of the Blockchain Center. And how is that going on for you, Erica?
I think that to kind of answer your first question and this one, being a woman trying to raise money is actually a benefit, right? Especially now in this day and age. So for us to sit back and be like, oh, I'm a woman, like I can't raise money, I think that's absolutely false. I think especially now the appetite is for these women-based companies. Not only that, but just like historically with my career in the past, I've gotten scholarships, a lot of scholarship money, just because I'm a female minority in a male-dominated field, right? So this is absolutely, as a woman, you need to know that you have an advantage right now. I think, Jorge, what's your mic? Perfect. Okay, so then, in terms of like sitting before investors, it's like, don't ever go into it, just for the ladies in the room, like don't ever go into the room and think like, oh, I'm a woman. Like you're a person, they're a person, okay? And also, one thing that's interesting specifically about this technology is that we are trying to bring smart investment capital to Miami. VC firms are looking at the Blockchain Center and thinking, what companies are going to come out of here? The investment into blockchain technology, I think in 2017 from VCs actually surpassed other technologies, right? And so for us, it's all about, there are these accredited investor laws that if you want to invest into a company, you do have to find the right people. But now, 2019, we have the Jobs Act. We have raises that you can do that are they're a combination of marketing your product plus taking money from a lot of people that don't have to be accredited investors, and those people also become your marketing arm. They will talk about your product if they put in $20 into your product. So for us, it's like, we have the right partners depending on what kind of raise you want to do, and depending on what kind of company and technology you have, you might want to consider doing a Reg CF versus a Reg A with one venture capital firm. So just think about those different things, and don't ever, as women or men, sorry men, we have the advantage.
How many women leading companies are here in the audience?
Raise your hand. Just wanted to.
How many of you are raising money?
Entrepreneurs or working for a company, for corporate America?
I think things have changed for women. Many years ago, I was told to hire a male CEO. When I owned my phone company, I started it from ground up, but when I went out to do a small raise at the bank, they told me to go get a male, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Things have changed. And I think you're right. I think if you say, oh, it's too difficult. It's difficult whether you're a man. I'm telling you right now, fundraising is not fun.
Actually,
Take the FUN out of it. It's difficult. Leave the date. I think you're right. But there's a lot of doors, right? You got to find. You said it. You got to find the right partners and the right money, but it's there. There's a lot of it out there.
Rita, investors here in Miami, What do you see on that?
You won't believe it. There are so many retired entrepreneurs with huge money. I know those millionaires and billionaires. I go out to dinner and dancing weekends and stuff like that. And they are here to invest. And, you know, and
How do we find him?
come to CTR Founders. Some of them are going to be my visitors. They're going to come and walk, sit around and drink beer and act like they're just out for the evening, but they're checking it out when someone's pitching. And there are lots of people in Broward, and a lot of doctors actually have money as well, and they want to, you know, diverse, and if they're not making their own company, and they're one of the worst, you know, startup people. I mean, I'm sorry, but every time I'm at a dinner, someone's like pitching me this thing, and I'm like, it already exists. If I Google it, I can get that information. You're too late. You can think of something else. And as of now, there's another guy, Angel. You know, he's okay. Yesterday, one of my friends called up, doctor, and he's like, I need a stack guy right now, full stack developer. Do you know any retail? You're the only one I know in this, you know, ecosystem. I'm like, yeah, I think I know. Let me just check him out. No, I need the number now. I'm like, can I check him out first? You know. So I called him up as I'm driving to one of these women's lunches because you have to balance life. You have to have fun. You can't be work. You know. So I'm like, hello. You know, and I get all my business deals actually at these women lunches too because some of them are real working ladies, you know, with great ideas, and they're telling me stories, and they want to diversify as well. And I called up Angel, I gave him a connection, and I hope it works out. And then I have other people who are sending me their resumes, and I am sending them to Brightline and FedEx, and because I know the vice presidents of those places who are again out, you know, dancing with me at weekends. So the thing is, the connections are there. People are here. They don't want to come out because then they get slammed, you know, and they don't know who these people are, and they have people pitching to them, and they don't like that. You know, they just like to hang out and come, or they ask me, have you found any? And I'm like, you can try this guy out, you know, and then I send a portfolio or a pitch deck or something like that. Yeah, it does. They are all there. I was also the vice president of Time Miami for a year, and I know those guys because we also did an entire startup competition and things like that. But you know, I mean, my experience has been that even though you have money and even though you're an entrepreneur, you may not be the right entrepreneur for your startup. So be careful that you have the right guy for your, you know, if you are doing Bitcoin, you want someone who knows Bitcoin or blockchain or and along that line, you know. I mean, you don't want to pick up someone who was, yeah. So think about that.
Well, thank you so much. We're gonna jump into one last question, and I wanna be very respectful of everybody's time because we have an agenda. We have the Founder Institute as well with a pitch night, doing amazing things with mentors, with helping connect mentors with the group, the current cohort. They're going to be here very soon. I just wanted to reach out to my team, Scarlett and Andres. How are we doing with the next, if you guys can give me some time. We're going to work on our next question, which is family, right? How do you balance family, your vision, social media, and sometimes, you know, could be overwhelming and so many other these beautiful things that you guys as women get. I don't know how you guys get to manage, but how do you do that? How do you balance that? Who wants to start?
Okay, so I even wrote about it in my book. I mean, if you've got a startup, I think it's the other love in your life, right? It's the big reason probably a lot of people get divorced, so finding that balance is very, very difficult. But again, it's your other focus, and you got to remember that your family comes first. Right? It's something that you hear everywhere, but it's the hardest thing to do because your startup, in many ways, is your family, or hopefully will feed your family. So it's very hard, and I've spent a lifetime juggling it because even as an engineer, I worked, 40 to 80 hours a week when I was an engineer. So even leaving the corporate world and starting my own company, I work 100 hours a week. But you love what you do. But what I tell people is learn to turn it all off And because every time you get started in something, you tell your family, like, 1 more minute. Well, 1 minute became a football minute in my house, right? And finally they quit waiting on you. You've got to really turn around, find a day, find a time that you just separate just for them. And it's hard to do, but do it. And you will find your balance, but don't let that startup be everything. Just don't. If it becomes that, then it's probably not the right thing for you. As much as you love it, I'm not talking to you like you got the best startup in the world. We're not startup business, successful business and more fun and everything. But
So what is the name of your book again?
oh, Startup Masters 101, which there'll be a 102. But here's the thing, I've had the pleasure in my TV world to interview a lot of the world's successful people who, the millionaires and billionaires who took their companies from the ground up, John Smalley, John Fanning, Adam Dell. I mean, I've been able to interview all of these fabulous people, and they all have learned to do a balance, right? When they became successful, you have to. But they all will agree that it's probably the biggest reason why there's a divorce. And there's not, there have been a lot of them that I spoke with. They've been through divorces. And so they all say you've really got to learn to separate a little bit from your startup and spend some quality time with your family. And your family doesn't understand the passion. Our mentality is different. When you become an entrepreneur, one, you become unemployable. You just do. You'll never be able to go back to the other world. Once the mind is stretched, you can't go back. So, but don't forget those you love, right? And I know you love your job and your work, and it's going to be successful and worth millions, but you can't go back and visit your family. You can't get that time back.
So for me, it's a little bit easier, I think, just because not married, no kids. I'm from Seattle. I live here. I'm basically by myself. My coworkers are my family. I tell my co-founder, I'm like, you're like my best friend, and just because that's the person you spend a lot of time with. So yeah, and then plus too, when you're saying like social media, social media is part of the business nowadays, right? So it's like I don't even want to post on social media, but I have to because that's that extra exposure that you need. So the balance, balance is good to find and it's necessary to find, but if you're young and you have just left corporate America, take all the risks now, right? Why not? Because if you make it, then you make it. If you not, you still have time to restart whatever you're doing. And then just, I guess, balancing things on the work side, Trello, Google Calendar, planners. There's so many resources that people have to make sure that they complete what they've started. But balance, you gotta, the biggest thing that I could say for people, like you said, take time for yourself. Well, for me, it's take time for myself. And I consider myself Jewish, and so I do Shabbat, Saturdays. My whole team knows, no call me, no text me, because you're not gonna get an answer. And I just take that day off to myself. And it's really important because if you never step back, then you can't vision cast and goal cast to move far, far forward. So, yeah, that's my tips. That probably won't help so little bit.
How big is your team right now?
Right now, my core team here in Miami, I have 4, but then we do have the New York office that has a lot of people. I have somebody in Venezuela that works for me, and then also I have 3 interns that are great. Interns are great, by the way. That's another tip.
You got the perfect ideal situation for a startup.
The thing is, in the Bitcoin blockchain world, is everybody that's about this is passionate, right? And so they do this, people are my interns are I don't care, I just want to learn, I'll do this for free. And I'll just, I get a lot of free tickets and things, so I'll send them to conferences for free, and they're just cool, this is my payment. So what's great is that there's just a lot of passion in this industry to see this decentralized movement move forward.
Well, I think the way I've lived my life always is if I'm not having fun, I get out. And fortunately, I've always had my jobs. I don't call them jobs because I live it. When I was single, I was in film, television, and I was 100 pounds less, and I used to be an anchor in New York. And I actually interviewed everyone who's famous because I was part of the whole media system. And one thing I never learned in my life, and my neighbor always tells me that I should, is to say no. As soon as someone says, would you like to do this, 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 this? And I look into my life and I say, I can fit that in, no problem. And that is probably one of the worst things, but I think it's one of the greatest gifts as well. Because if you want to do it, you can find time. And I find time in the middle of the night, actually. And yes, I have a daughter who's going to medical school and she's my best friend. I've given her all my life. I think given her a chunk of my life actually. When I moved from New York, it was because of her. My husband was setting up Joe DiMaggio Hospital, and he actually had Joe DiMaggio telling him, like, do whatever you want. I need the real cutting edge, because he was from New York and all that. We were this New York couple, we came in, and I was supposed to go back, but it didn't happen. And I stayed back because he kept on getting contract after contract with all the great hospitals. And I said, what do I do with my life? Okay, so I said, I was in film and TV, right? So I became a reader for Sony TV. So I started reading their scripts, telling them the scripts work, did not work, whatever. I did that. FedEx used to work very well. We didn't have all these social media or things that we could transfer material. But anyway, so then after that, I came here to look into this entrepreneur's world, and I said, hey, you know what? I used to be in this new media in New York, and I was part of that whole movement where 55th Broad Street was the first building to get internet. And all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, this is exciting. So I got in just to be entertained. I didn't know that I would say, yes, I'll be the co-chapter director of Startup Pride. And I'm there as a chapter, then I meet people. And they're like, oh, you have marketing background, advertising background. Would you like to look at my business plan? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I've been, my clients were like Procter & Gamble and Philips and Colgate and all that. So this was like, coming back from a corporate world, this is so easy, because there you have so many departments and so many heads and so many things to do, and if you're the boss, you have all those teams to manage. Lately someone told me, like, you are with Startup Pride, you started CTO Founders, you are the president of the Metabolic Volumic Science Research for the Science Center, because they're trying to get all the research together under one roof. And I'm the president of the group that's raising money to have those white elephant called the labs working. So that is my other role that I play. And then I have my InMark, where I take students and professionals from here to India, from India to here, all kinds of stuff. How do I do it? I think you just do time management, and sometimes my husband is doing his cases and case studies, and I'm with my laptop right there, and I'm like, hey, you want to hear this? Ha ha ha. So we actually share a lot of things, and he's a bright guy, and he is very much into CNBC, and he knows more about the tech world and the investment world, and we invest together. So, it's a lot of fun. I mean, if you share it, I can see my daughter not just being a medical person, but also an entrepreneur and also techie, because she was with Kairos in the summer, she was into neuroscience, so, they said, hey, why don't you read some things and tell us what the future is going to be. So I'm also into that futuristic thing. So something I'm going to get involved in is also healthcare in the future, in Mars, aerospace, all that kind of stuff. There are lots of things, and I do it, I love it. It's exciting, and my daughter, my husband, and I, we are all on the same wavelength, so it works.
Just please give them a round of applause to our women in technology moving forward. And moving the needle for the local Startup Miami ecosystem. And thank you guys so much for being here with us tonight. And in order to follow up, we're going to have Founder Institute joining us. They are amazing partners of the ecosystem, like I said, with an amazing cohort, connecting mentors with a methodology for them to grow, perhaps look for those topics that they need, raising funding, and their go-to-market strategy, and their building their team. So I want to reach out to my team to see if